the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem outside, Bahashem Chahakudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, I was a high spirit with a lawyer, and today I want to go into a topic entitled, one thing to establish the good of another. And I say that in context of women's liberation, all right, the modernization of women, all right, feminism, all right, social media, all right, girlship, sisterhood, these different ideologies, all right, that's been inculcated into the mind of the American woman, all right, vastly black women, white women, so-called black women, so-called white women, but particularly so-called black women of the tribe of Judah, all right, and ultimately the Israelite woman, all right, the so-called Hispanic woman, Native American woman, the particular called black woman, all right, because she spearheads the ideologies of feminism. She really took it and ran with it. There's basically been a shift, all right, because of the actions of women, all right, filing for a divorce, because 70 to 80% roughly of the divorces are initiated by women. And I know that number goes up if she's a so-called college educated woman. Okay, the infidelity is high. All right, but one of the main causes of a woman divorcing is because of her happiness. Okay, and women are delaying marriage. So women are in their fertile age, in their 20s, early 20s, mid 20s. All right, they delay marriage because they feel that it's they have their fun first, which creates an environment that if you go off their time, then they're going to be, and it's going to result in a lot of baggage. And ultimately, I say all that to say the movement of women's liberation and the modernization of women has created another movement that we witness now, and that's men going their own way. All right. So sometimes I reflect on things, all right, that goes on in this society, and I look at the positivity that comes from it. All right, and a lot of men were not happy married. A lot of men are not happy married. They just go with the flow. And a lot of men are not their healthiest when they are married. All right, a lot of men, their inner morale is not high when they are married. They become out of shape, all right, when they are married. They kind of lose it at 50, 60 years old, health-wise. Maybe even earlier. Okay? But we see it so much, we think it's the natural trajectory of a man. You have your high school pictures, or pictures of yourself in your 20s, all right? And most Jakes are probably fit. You got some type of, aura, some type of glow. Jake got his Jordans on, and Jake probably could play basketball. All right, but then, Jake gets married in this cage called corporate America, and you have to serve your enemies to feed your family. And over a period of time, Jake inner morale decreases, his confidence decreases, his edge. You lose your edge. Some men can maintain it with the wife, but some men can't. And you overcompensate with liquor and food, and the lack of exercise. You see, artery clogging, food, lack of exercise, all these different things, and it compounds over the years. And your intention is right because you want to raise your little ones and keep your family intact. But the way it is done in America is not good for your mental health. All right, but ultimately, what we're witnessing is women leaving, and they're divorcing and they're breaking up their homes. But I'm saying that to say what has happened within the last 15, 20 years, it created a shift to where men are opting out of marriage. All right, they're opting out of marriage. They're opting out of starting a family. All right, men are choosing solitude over marriage. They're choosing peace over a relationship. Okay, and some men still have a relationship, but they're opting out of marriage. They're opting out of the ring on the finger, walking down the aisle, committing to one woman. All right, and it creates an opportunity for a man to obtain something that he probably could never obtain within a marriage, and that's peace. That's continual solitude. It's autonomy, and feminism has created this environment where a man loses his autonomy. All right, the freedom to move around how you want to move around. The freedom to move around. You don't have to check in with your wife, your second mother. The freedom to move around how you want to move around. Maybe you can work hard and save your money, and you take your guy's trip. You know, you take your trip. Just talking about in general, you can get away. All right, you can really be a man. Okay, you can always have you a woman, what they would call a lady friend, but you can move how you want to move, as long as you're being responsible. And that's something that a modern marriage is taken from a man, because it's predicated on feminism. It's predicated off equality. It's predicated off if he can do what I can do, or my wife won't let me do this. That's not biblical marriage. It's feminism. Feminism's rendition of marriage. So the modernization of women, the selfishness of women, the self-interest mindset of women has created an environment where men can choose happiness over marriage. Solitude. That's the gift. Solitude. Peace. You know, get you a nice TV and watch the movies you want to watch. Jake in the video games. You know, you play the game you want to play. You know, you work your job, you pay your bills, take care of your responsibilities. Maybe you do have a child. If you're on child support, you pay your bills. But then you have your peace, you know. And a lot of times, because we're young, in our 20s and 30s, we deal with our libido. You know, but because you're horny, it doesn't mean you gotta actually find a wife. All right, there's ways to deal with that. All right, people say it's better to marry than to burn. Like the elder Pascal Bar with it too. It's basically have sex. You know, when you have sex, you marry. You have to understand the context of time. 2,000 years ago, when that was written, an Israelite woman knew the role of being a woman. She knew the role of being a wife. These women don't. You see? But in terms of America, man, the gift is solitude. You know, free agent lifestyle. You can have women that's company, and you don't have to cohabitate. You don't have to commit, or you don't have to, like I said, cohabitate to them, cohabitate with them. All right, but that's really you maintaining frame. It's hard to maintain frame when you get with a woman over a period of time. You can insidiously lose that frame. Some men don't lose that frame, and that's their blessing. But you have your best frame when you stick to, you know, your solitude, your solidarity. You know, because now you're dealing with women based on how you want to deal with them, through your terms, or as opposed to cultural construct, society's terms of how you should deal with a woman, which result in you not being happy. All right? And we deal with women, and we love women, and we love our women, but you don't have to deal with them based off Babylon's terms. Okay? But once again, the modern woman movement has created a free agent lifestyle movement for men because they're opting out of the modern rendition of marriage, right? And choosing solitude over, all right, dealing with the modern woman on her terms. You know? And life is sweet. Life is bitter. All right, Shalom Elder Hawad, Yahweh Bahashmi Amashai, Bahashmi Kakudas, Rakata. Life is sweeter when you raise your vibration, when you exercise, you eat clean, you got your hobbies, you got your hell, your job, and the shit that comes with the job, and your bills and your finances. When we have these spaces in your week, these times in your week, you can do you know. That's what makes you inwardly happy. It enhances, it enriches your life, your enrichments, you know. But once again, you know, the movement of modern women has created a movement within men choosing solitude, men traveling overseas, all right, men just becoming bachelors. So at an age where men would generally settle down, right, they're just sticking to a bachelor lifestyle. I had one older man tell me back in the day at one of my jobs, it was like, you could date till you die. You could date till you die, you know? And that was before like a lot of videos popped up about being a bachelor. There's a particular, I believe he's an Edomite. He might not be an Edomite. I believe he could be an Edomite. But he's a divorced man. He does a lot of videos in the park about being, you know, divorced and how it's sweet. Life is sweet after 40 and you're divorced. Because he's basically an advocate about older men staying single. All right? How marriage is a scam. And it's sweet being single at 50, 60 years old. But if you look at the apostles, a lot of the apostles, they're pretty much men of solitude at 50, 60 years old. But I noticed it's easier to get more into your health like that, you know, because one thing you should be committed to is your vitality. One thing you should be really tapped into is your vitality, your diet, your routine. Because like I said, you can always have a company. And I'm not telling you how to have your life, but I am an advocate of this shift that's happening where men are choosing peace, choosing solitude, choosing to maintain their autonomy at a later age, choosing to keep their frame as being bachelors at a later age. And it's not to be gaslighted by feminism by calling it immature or, you know, because remember, marriage was based off you getting a woman in her prime. Let's say an American standard, she 18, 20, 21. But women choose to be immature. All right, and live their best life till they get past their prime, and gaslight you into settling down with them. All right, that's not of Yahweh Bahashmi Amashai. So it's rightful that shift is happening to where, you know, men are choosing peace over problems, peace over problems, man. And sometimes we have to choose peace over pleasure. Okay? But with that, I hope this is edifying. Shalom, Rapah, Ya Allah, Yahweh. All right, but with that, I hope this was edifying. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasmi Hamashai, Bahashor Kahakadas. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of great ministry on root well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.